Thursday Night Football. The Seattle Seahawks are on the road in Dallas to take on the Cowboys. My three favorite picks are on the way. Let's recap week 12. We had a great week, 8-2 overall. Thanksgiving treated us super nicely, and we carried that over into Sunday, and then even into Monday, a dominant week for us. Hopefully, you guys made some money with us. We still have some more work to do to get us back into the positives, but I'm confident we can take that momentum and carry that on into this week, and hopefully into Thursday we can go 3-0, and then carry that into Sunday's slate of games. If you are new, as always, let me know your favorite picks down below in the comments. Always curious what you guys are playing. And if you are new, like I said, hit that subscribe button, drop a like too. Let's dive into the picks today. We do actually have two free squares I do want to talk about. One is on Sleeper. They have one for Dak Prescott to get you 1 yard. It's only for new users. So if you have never used Sleeper, make sure it's in your state, but it's available in a ton of different US states. But the biggest thing about Sleeper, they have a ton of different options for you all. And the best part is if you sign up using our code COS, you also get a 100% deposit match up to $100. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. It's free money. Same thing for Underdog Fantasy, which also has a new free square for new users. Same thing, Dak Prescott to get 1 yard. Take advantage of that. Here's all the states that Underdog is in. Sleeper is normally available in all those same states. Same kind of thing. Use our code COS. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Also put the links down below in the description. But you guys came here for some winners. Let's dive into them. We got 3 picks. Let's start with my biggest bet of the day. It's a 1.5 unit play. It's a running back. It is Zach Charbonnet of the Seattle Seahawks over 12.5 rush attempts, minus 125 on Bet365. Now, rush attempts, I will say, they're kind of synonymous with carries. I'll probably use carries here and there. Rush attempts, the same kind of thing. We need Zach Charbonnet to get 13 rush attempts, and we will cash out for 1.5 units. Now, if the line is 13.5, I do like that, but I probably only play that for 1 unit. Although I think if Charbonnet gets 13, probably a pretty good chance he gets 14 as well. Now, as I record this, Kenneth Walker III is doubtful to play. I'd be very surprised if he suited up. He has like a groin issue that made him miss a lot of last week. I don't anticipate him playing this weekend. We're going to see Zach Charbonnet absorb the majority of the work out of the backfield in the last 2 weeks. When that's happened, Charbonnet played 85 and 88% of the snaps. 15 carries for 47 yards, 14 carries for 47 yards. So he did hit the over in rush attempts easily in both those 2 games, and he hit the over in yards pretty close. His line is like 45.5/48.5 on some books, so finishing real close in there. But I really like not only his yards today, but I think his rush attempts is the easier play here. And we've seen this matchup against the Cowboys. We know the Cowboys have a good defense. There's no hiding that. But what their best part of their defense is their pass rush. Obviously, if they can get Micah Parsons and running after the quarterback, that's what they want to do. I think the Seahawks got to keep them honest and run the football early in this game. That's something they did not do last week against the 49ers on Thanksgiving. They abandoned the run in the first half, and that's how they saw themselves down 24-3, which we'll touch on in a second. But in order to neutralize the Cowboys' best thing, which is their pass rush, led by Michael Parsons, you got to run the football, keep their defense honest, then the play action pass will set itself up. And I really think that's how you do your best job against this Cowboys defensive front. And we've seen Charbonnet pretty good running the football this season, averaging 4.6 yards per carry. Like I said, his attempts line is 12.5, which we're taking. Pretty good chance if he gets that, he probably hits his rushing yards too, as long as he's a little bit efficient. And we've seen running backs have actually good success versus the Cowboys recently. We just saw last week, the Brian Robinson, he had 15 carries for 53 yards. And that's a team of the Commanders that throws it literally more than anyone else. The week before that, Chuba Hubbard had 10 carries for 57 yards, while his teammate Miles Sanders had 11 for 50. They split backfield work right down the middle. They had combined for 21 carries despite losing by like 23 points. And the week before that, Saquon Barkley had 13 for 66 yards. So look, all these teams pretty much had success running the football against the Cowboys. I expect the Seahawks to try to get back to that early in this game. And we could see if they get the ball first, I would not be surprised if they can sustain a drive. See Charbonnet get 4, 5, 6 carries in that first drive, because I think they need to sustain a good drive to kind of give themselves some momentum in this road game. But we saw last week, they had no momentum. In fact, the Seahawks 3 for 11 on third down, never sustained any drives, and they were down 24-3 at halftime. Charbonnet 3 carries for 7 yards at half. So if I went into halftime in this Thursday night game, and you told me Charbonnet has 3 carries for 7 yards, I'd say we are screwed. But he still hit the over last week. They finally got back to running the football despite being down 21 points. And then that didn't necessarily make the game super close. They lost by 18. But they started to run the football, and they had a good success. Their drive started to continue, and they had a lot more success. I anticipate them getting back to that. We'll see a lot of Charbonnet and a lot of early passes trying to get the ball out of Geno Smith's hands. Geno's numbers drop way off a cliff when he's under pressure. So I anticipate them to try to get the ball out of Geno's hands. I imagine if you watched the Monday Night Football game with Justin Fields, where they were kind of just throwing the ball out to really needing to throw past the line of scrimmage the whole game. I anticipate a similar thing for Geno. Maybe not that extreme, but I anticipate them trying to get the ball out of his hand, but also running it with Charbonnet. I really like his over 12.5 rush attempts, a 1.5 unit play. Now, my second play is going to go to the other side. It's going to be an under for Dak Prescott, and it's under 38.5 yards for his longest completion. Now, Dak Prescott could throw for 700 yards tonight. As long as his longest completion is not more than 38.5 yards, we will cash out. And that's actually kind of been a theme over the last few weeks where Dak Prescott's been literally insane. I mean, props to him. He's been absolutely scorched earth, averaging over 320 passing yards these last 5 games. However, you look at on the season, Dak Prescott's still under this line in 7 of 11 games. And his 4 of overs, 2 of them came against the Giants, a team that he has a lot of success against. The other against Philly when he had a 40-yard completion, and another one against the Chargers, a 60-yard completion. That was that broken play to Tony Pollard. Now, at the end of the day, we've seen Dak play super well. I understand that, but still, in these last 5 games, when he's thrown 2, 3, 4 touchdowns a game, still under this line in 3 of 5 games. Getting a 40-yard completion in the NFL is not that easy. You need to make a good pass. You need no pass interference. You need a lot of different things to go your way. I wouldn't be surprised, Dak they haven't really wanted Dak to take a ton of shots. I don't see this matchup being a great one for him to take a ton of shots either. The Cowboys are just trying to get the ball out of Prescott's hands, into their playmakers' hands, let them do the rest of the work. And we've seen the Seahawks as a team with 2 great cornerbacks, Tariq Woolen and Weatherspoon. Those guys are really good, one of the better cornerback duos in the league. Not only do they have those 2 guys to guard the Cowboys receivers, they also play the second most zone defense in the NFL. Now, you might be like, what does zone defense really mean to me? I don't care about zone defense. Austin is Dak Prescott. He'll do his thing against the Seahawks. But Dak has only faced 3 teams this season that play a lot of zone coverage. In fact, in the top 50% of the NFL. Here's how he's done against those teams that try to longest completion. 49ers, only a 29-yard completion. Cardinals, 32-yarder, and the Panthers, a 24-yarder. So he has not necessarily been great against zone coverage. Still played well-ish against those teams, minus, that game against the 49ers when they got smoked. But he just hasn't played super well against zone coverage, and his wide receivers don't do the same too. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, his splits versus man and zone, very different. Not as great versus zone coverage. Man coverage, he's a beast. Zone coverage, still good, but not as good as he has been. And we've seen last 8 quarterbacks that have faced the Seahawks. Here's their longest completion. I'm not going to go through each of these, but it is worth noting, 6 of the 8 went under this line that we were taking. The 2 guys that went over, PJ Walker and Sam Howell, both those guys completed passes to their running backs. Now, if he completes a pass to Tony Pollard, who notoriously doesn't run very far downfield, I'll live with it, but I just don't see that being the case here. I think this is a game where Dak's completions are probably higher, but he probably doesn't get a ton of long completions, and this is a full game sweat. He could end us on the first play, definitely, but it's probably going to be a full game sweat. If we make it to the 4th quarter, cool. We'll have something to sweat the whole game long. I really like this under. I like this under in passing yards, but I like this one a little bit more, under 38.5 yards for his longest completion. It doesn't matter how well Dak Prescott plays. We just need not a long completion of 39 yards or more. Now, my third and final play of the day will be a wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, Jackson Smith-Njigba. We're taking his over 39.5 receiving yards, minus 114 on FanDuel. I personally would play this up to 45.5. This is one of my favorite plays. I would make it a bigger play, but obviously Njigba has some other guys in the wide receiver core for the Seahawks that will command their own target share. I really like this matchup for him, and I think he's coming off a big week. I think this will be one of maybe his biggest game of his NFL season. Let's talk with him. So far, he is a rookie. So since their bye week, when they kind of started to involve him a little bit more, you've seen his numbers: 48, 63, 36, 63, 53, 40, and 41 receiving yards. So been really, 36 plus in all those games, had 40 plus in 5 of 6, which is what we need. If you need a little bit more, he's been getting real close to that line. And I think this is his best matchup that he will face. And it's not necessarily his best matchup. It's more so not a great matchup for his teammates. And you look at JSN, the lowest average depth of target on the Seahawks in terms of their wide receivers, and he has the highest yards after catch too. So kind of those go hand in hand. He's getting the ball short and he's making plays, but he's also just a great guy with the ball in his hands. And you look at the guys, Metcalf, Lockett, and JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's kind of that guy in that short kind of range game. I think that's where Geno Smith is going to go, and I think he has the best matchup here. We think about this Cowboys defense. They have 2 really good cornerbacks, Stephon Gilmore and Deron Bland, the guy that has 5 pick sixes this season. Yeah, you think Geno wants to touch Bland? I doubt it, but those guys both play on the outside. That's exactly where you'll see Lockett, exactly where you see Metcalf. You look at a guy like JSN, runs almost 85% of his routes from the slot. That's where he's probably going to get Jordan Lewis. If you think about Jordan Lewis last week against Commanders, he was the guy primarily guarding Curtis Samuel. 9 receptions, 100 yards for Curtis Samuel. Now, I don't necessarily know if JSN gets 100 yards, but I think this is the matchup Geno will look to exploit. I also think he'll probably get some bubble screens here too, because it's a guy that's great with the ball in his hands. He also just made a ridiculous one-handed catch last week on Thursday Night Football on Thanksgiving. I really think this is a great spot to back Jackson Smith and Jigba. Obviously, we're going to root for some Charbonnet carries, but I think the play action pass will yield to some opportunities of one-on-one coverage for JSN. And I think he has the best matchup out of anyone that's on his team going up against their respective cornerbacks. Obviously, Gilmore and Bland, really good. I'm not too high on Jordan Lewis. He's notoriously not been that great for the Cowboys, and he hasn't been really that great this season either, given that the highest completion percentage out of any of their, linebackers or cornerbacks or safeties. So JSN, we roll with you. Charbonnet, we roll with you. Hopefully you get 13 rushing attempts. And Dak, just dump it off. You can go 30 for 30. Just dump off every single pass. Get your 25-yard completions. Move the ball down the field, and we will certainly take that. Those are my 3 favorite picks of the day. As always, let me know your favorite picks down below. A reminder, Sleeper and Underdog Fantasy both have free squares. If you want to take advantage, just make sure you use our code COS or the links in the description so you get that match of your first deposit up to $100. But I'm Austin. Let's sign out. Let's have another great week 13. 13 is my lucky number. Hopefully we have a great day and go 3-0 on Thursday. Move that into Sunday. I'll see you guys in the next one. It's Austin. I'm signing out. Peace.